dua. What does dua means? Dua means to ask for something, to invoke, to supplicate. It means to call out, to want something, you need something. Dua means you're calling out, you're asking, you're requesting something to the Almighty Arhamur Rahimin. There is nothing, absolutely nothing more pleasing to the Arhamur Rahimin than dua. Dua is the crux of worship, is the backbone of worship. Dua is more in higher place than salah. Dua is so pleasing to the Arhamur Rahimin. He said it throughout the whole Quran. Make dua to me, supplicate to me, and I will answer your supplication, your du'as. Throughout the whole Quran, Arhamur Rahimin says, make a dua to me, and I will, with guarantee, answer your supplication, your du'as. Now, dua is so important, and it is so essential, and it is so critical for every desires, every distress, every situation, severe, that we have problems in our lives, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can be more beneficial and can be more better for our problems, to relieve our stress and anxiety, and also to fulfill all our needs through du'as. It's in the hadith that three things happens when you make du'as. Three things happens when you make du'as, or one of three things happens when you make du'as. First, when you ask Arhamur Rahimin, when you ask something to him, he'll give you that when you make du'as, and whatever your desire is, you get it. Or secondly, you get something in return of the dua. So you did not get what you desire, Arhamur Rahimin will give you something in return of that dua, or he will save you from a musibah, from a calamity, or let's say did not get nothing. Thirdly, and the best one of all, the third one is, let's say you made du'as all your life and you did not get what you wanted, or you did not even get nothing in return. Thirdly, on the day of judgment, Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, Arhamur Rahimin will tell you, he made du'as to me all the time. All the time he made du'as to me, every single day, throughout your whole life. But I did not accept any of your du'as in the dunya. But today, look, all the du'as that you made throughout your whole life, I have accumulated all your du'as, and there's so much, mountains and mountains of du'as that I accumulated for you, my servant. And today, all these du'as, I'm going to compensate you for that. And on your scale of deeds, all the du'as, mountains, mountains, filled like mountains, du'as, Arhamur Rahimin will compensate you. And on the day of judgment, when Arhamur Rahimin, we all going to be in the court of Arhamur Rahimin to be judged. And that day, on the scale of your deeds, the du'as will be weighed, and that's when you really need it, and you will get your du'as answered. So never ever your du'as get unanswered. Never. Be always beyond assured. Have a beyond assurance that every time you're making du'as, your du'as does get answered. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when we make du'as and we raise our hands to the Arhamur Rahimin, Arhamur Rahimin, our Lord, our Master, our Creator, our Sustainer, when you raise your hands towards Him and you make dua, He is Hayy, Hayy. He is too embarrassed, He is too shy to return those hands empty without giving something. He is Hayy, He is embarrassed, He is too shy to return those hands empty without giving you something. Arhamur Rahimin, our Rabb, He will give you something. He has to give you something in return of your du'as. Dua is something that everybody makes as long as you know that your Creator, the one who is As-Sami, the all-hearer, the one who is Al-Basir, the all-seer. So every time you make du'as, the one, He hears your du'as, the one who sees you make your du'as to Him. There is no way He can return your du'as empty-handed. The one who has the treasure of everything, the kingdom, the heaven, the earth, and everything is in the heaven and everything is on earth. It's in a hadith. If, let's say, the first human, the first person in the humanity, Sayyidina Adam, to the last person from Sayyidina Adam to the last person to live on this earth, every single human being and every genes from the last to the first were to go to front of Arhamur Rahimin, and they were to ask him everything they desire, every single thing that they wish. And Arhamur Rahimin were to give from everyone, from the first human, Sayyidina Adam, to the last human, and from the first jinn to the last jinn, every single thing that they desired in their mind, in their heart. And Arhamur Rahimin were to grant everyone's every wishes. It's like dipping a needle into the ocean, and when you dip that needle and the needle comes from the ocean water, how much the needle can take. When you penetrate a needle onto the ocean, how much water can the needle absorb? It's nothing, the water to the needle, comparing to the ocean, which is vast, which is endless. Likewise, the treasure of Allah is like dipping a needle into the ocean, and you cannot even compare and give an example with the needle. Allah, Arhamur Rahimin's treasure, His kingdom is so infinite, is never ever ending, ever. His treasure, His kingdom is infinite. There are certain conditions for your du'as to get answered. You have to be pious. You have to know the difference between halal and haram. A person cannot lie. A person cannot cheat. A person cannot embezzle. A person cannot be a crook. A person cannot be deceitful. A person cannot have a criminal mind and a criminal heart. A person cannot have ill feelings and jealousy towards others. And a person cannot trick people. A person cannot do everything that's not in the Quran and Sunnah. Everything that the Quran and Sunnah tells you to abstain from, you have to abstain from all those stuff. You cannot be a person half and half. Like, I'm Mr. 50-50. I'll do halal 50% and I'll do haram 50%. But I'm still following the Quran and Sunnah. So let me do 50% halal and 50% haram. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to be completely, you have to abide by the Quran and Sunnah to the utmost perfection. And you have to know the difference between halal and haram. And what is halal? You have to follow the halal 100%. And you also have to stay away from haram 100%. So there are so many conditions of a person du'as to get answered. And if you follow that, inshallah, your du'as will definitely get answered. Du'as, all the prophets in the Quran, they went through afflictions. All of them went through afflictions. And all of their stories, all the Anbiyas, their stories in the Quran, and all of them went through situations, and their trials and tribulations were much, much higher than our trials and tribulations. They're the one who went through the most severe distress and tests, trials and tribulations. And they were the prophets, messengers, and the Anbiyas of Arhamur Rahimin. So if they went through the most severe trials and tribulations, and they made du'as, and their du'as got answered, what makes you think that our du'as won't get answered as long as we're pious, as long as we know the difference between good and evil, and as long as we're not evil and we try to stay away from evilness and wickedness, and we're righteous, and we're not crooks, and we're not con artists, and we're not evil, our du'as will definitely get answered. There are in so many occasions in the past, numerous times and countless times in the past, my du'as got answered. So many times my du'as got answered. In 2013, I was in a deep trouble, and I did the dua of Sayyidina Yunus, and it took an hour. It took only 1 hour, and my problem was solved. And Allah said it, the Arhamur Rahimin in the Quran, that make dua to me, supplicate to me, I will answer you. So if you're pious and if you're righteous, du'as definitely get answered. Now, Allah said it in the Quran. You'll find it in Surah Talaq, verse 2, the last sentence. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. When you fear Allah, He will always find you a way out from every single difficulties. So when you trust Him and you're pious and you rely on Him, He will always will find you a way out for your every difficulties. He said it in the Quran, you may hate something which is good for you, and you may love something which is bad for you. Let's say you're making du'as that, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, I want that sister, I want to marry her, I want her to be my wife, I really want her. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, make the sister my wife, I want to marry her, I need her, I want her, I desire her. Perhaps, let's say the sister, on a scale of 1 to 10, in your eyes might be a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, she might be a 10, or she might be even further. To your eyes, she might not be, you cannot even give a number from a scale of 1 to 10, she might be so pretty that he says she doesn't deserve 10, she's beyond 10. That's how pretty she is. So you're making du'as, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, grant that sister for me. And Arhamar Rahimin, let's say, did not grant her for you, because he is, his wisdom and his knowledge is so infinite. He knows way better, and he knows what's good for us, and his knowledge is so infinite. He knows way more than us. His knowledge and our knowledge, if we were to compare our knowledge to his knowledge, it's not even a small ant comparing to the whole world. He is so infinitely knowledgeable. He knows what's good for us, and he knows what's really best for us in every ways with his knowledge. He knows and we don't know. So let's say you prayed, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, I need that sister. Please grant her for me. So let's say you did not get that sister. And there is a wisdom, there is a hikmah why he did not get that sister. And he got somebody who's on a scale of 1 to 10 might be a 6 or a 7. So the reason he did not get that sister is because he knew, since he knows your future and you don't, he knew that if you marry that sister, even though she's extremely beautiful, super beautiful, but there is a beast inside her. Inside that beauty, there is a beast inside. And when you marry her, your life's gonna be a living hell. And you're gonna go through so much sadness and suffering. So in order for you to not to go through that suffering, and from his love and mercy, Arhamur Rahimin gave you somebody who was a 6 and a 7. There's 3 levels of looks. When it comes to looks, there is 3 levels. It's likewise for both male and female. You got average pretty and average handsome guys. You got above average females and above average men with the looks. And you got like super beautiful and super handsome. So now you got a sister who's in above average, in number 6 or 7. So because of his hikmah, he gave you someone to save you from a calamity. Let's say a lot of people say, a lot of people, they love to, it's likewise for both men and women. A lot of people, they love to look like celebrities. They like to be spitting image of certain celebrities. And a lot of people, even they don't look like a celebrity, they'll have they'll take them as their role model, and they'll dress like them. They'll have the hairstyle like them. They'll walk like them. They try to talk like them. They'll do everything, every way possible to imitate that celebrity. Let's say a lot of guys will say, why I couldn't look like George Clooney, or why I couldn't look like Brad Pitt, or why I couldn't look like Sanjay Dutt. So the reason is that, let's say he did not get the spitting image of George Clooney, or Brad Pitt, or Sanjay Dutt. The reason he did not look like them, and Arhamur Rahimin made him a 6, a 7, or an 8, because he knew if he looked like those celebrities, you're gonna commit. He might become a big womanizer, a playboy, and you're gonna do so much haram, so much sins, And because of that sins, you were bound to go to hellfire. And out of his mercy, he saved you, and he did not give you the desire, the fulfillment of your looks the way you wanted. Because he created us according to He created us according. He's gonna create us according to the way we're gonna react, the way we're gonna deal. That's how he's gonna create. He created us. So he knew how we're gonna act in the dunya. He knew how we are going to do certain stuff in that accordance of our ways of dealing in the dunya. That's how he created us. So du'as always get answered. Don't ever feel abandoned, and don't ever feel that Arhamur Rahimin is not. I'm making du'as years after years, and he does not listen to me. He does not hear me, and he does not grant me what I need, because he knows us way, way better than we know ourselves. So your du'as will get answered. And a lot of time, it takes times for du'as to get answered. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that people come to him and they say, Ya Rasulullah, I make dua and I make dua and I make dua, but my du'as never get answered. So he says that your du'as will get answered as long as you're not hasty. And by meaning hasty, it means you say I make dua and it never get answered. You have to be patient. As long as you're patient, your du'as will get answered. Because Arhamur Rahimin, he knows when to give you and what time. Everything works on his time and not our time. And a lot of the time, he will grant you something if he knows that it's good for you, it's best for you. And if he knows what you're asking for him, that's going to create more problem for you. And you're going to suffer because of that desire. Then he's not going to answer in the dunya. He's going to give it to you in akhirah. Remember, everything that we do in the dunya, everything, whether good or whether bad, 24/7, everything that we do beside our sleeping time, everything is being recorded by two angels. And on the day of judgment, Yawmul Qiyamah, you're going to see everything that you did on your book of deeds, on your records. Every prophets went through affliction. All the prophets that are named in the Quran, every single of them went through affliction. And they made du'as. And all of the prophets, when they made du'as in this situation, all of them, the du'as got answered. Sayyidina Nuh, for 950 years, 950 years, he gave da'wah to his people. He gave message. He said to his people, worship the one, the only Rabb, Allah, for 950 years. Persistently. He was so persistent that he never, ever for 950 years gave up on spreading the invitation to his tribe, to his nation, for them to come and to know and to worship the one and only Rabb. And what happened? He said to Allah, Ya Rabb, I give them da'wah, I call to them day and night, openly and privately. Day and night, openly and privately, for 950 years. Every way is possible. He did not live a single way that he knew. He did not live it alone. Every way is possible. He gave da'wah. Almost a millennium, 950 years. He gave da'wah. And his people did not listen to him. The elite, the upper class, rejected him. They called him a majnoon, a madman. They say, you were insane. You were just like us. Why should we listen to you? And only a handful, in the narration it says, the scholars, they say, somewhere from 7 to 80 people. Very few people, 7 to 80 people, they listened to his da'wah. And these people were very, very poor. They were the lowest of lows. And 7 and 80 people, between the narration says, the scholar says, 7 to 80 people, accepted his da'wah. So Arhamur Rahimin told him, look, you did what you did. Nobody's gonna follow you anymore and accept your message. Just, he got the wahi, the revelation through the Arhamur Rahimin, and told him to build the ark. And when he was building the ark, all this elite, the upper class, were telling, they were so arrogant and so wretched, they did not listen to him. It came to a point they threatened to stone him to death. They wanted to kill him. So they said, you're making ark on a dry land and there is no flood or nothing. They were mocking him. He became a joke on them. He said, the joke is on you. When we get saved and you guys are not going to get saved. So what happened? He built the ark, and the 7 or 80, whatever the numbers, anyway, whether it's 7 or 80, the number is very low, and they're very poor people, very, very poor. So they came to the ark, and Allah ordered every animals, both male and female, with Sayyidina Nuh's family and those 7 or 80 people, and the animals, to embark on the ship, on the ark. Everybody got onto the ark, and then what happened? Arhamur Rahimin gave such a torrential rain from the heaven, from the sky, and the whole earth gushed out with water, with rain. So everybody got drowned because of his du'as. And what did he say? He said, Rabbi inni maglubun fantasir. He invoked to his Lord, oh my Lord, I am overwhelmed, so help me. What happened to me? These people didn't listen to me. For 950 years I made da'wah. No one listened except for a handful people. It's overwhelming to me. Fantastic. So help me. His du'as got answered. And during the time of Sayyidina Nuh, that was the only nation on the earth, and he was the first messenger to give da'wah, to give message. The first one was Sayyidina Nuh. So everybody got drowned. Everybody died. One of his sons did not believe in him, and he was seeking refuge on top of a mountain, so he got drowned, and his wife got drowned because his wife betrayed him. 2 of the messengers' wives betrayed the messengers, and they were the Anbiya, they were the prophets of Allah. One was Sayyidina Nuh's wife, and the other one was Sayyidina Lut's wife. You can find it in Surah Tahrim, verse 10. Sayyidina Nuh's and Sayyidina Lut's, both of their wives betrayed their husbands, and they were the prophets of Arhamur Rahimin, and thus they will go to hellfire. So du'as, look, du'as does get answered. What happened to, look at this, Sayyidina Musa, when he was running away from Pharaoh. Pharaoh wanted to, Fir'aun wanted to prosecute him and kill him. So he was running for his life, and he was going towards the valley of Madian, and he went to the valley of Madian, and he helped those two daughters of Prophet Shu'aib. And after getting water from them from the well, he went to a shade and he said, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. Because when he was running away from the Pharaoh, he did not have nothing with him, not a single dime with him, no money at all, no food, no nothing. He said, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. He said, Rabb, O my Lord, O my sustainer, O my creator, I'm in desperate need. I'm beyond desperate. I'm in desperate need of whatever good you may send down to me. You may bestow upon me. Anything, I'll take it. He said, Faqir. He said, Oh my Lord, I'm a faqir. I'm a beggar. I'm beyond desperate. I'm so desperate. I need you at this moment. I'm a faqir. I'm a beggar. You have to give me. Beside you, nobody will give me. So because of the desperation, he got his du'as answered. And because of that du'a, he got married, and he also got a job. Sayyidina Ibrahim, when he was thrown in the fire was so intense, miles and miles long fire. And when he was thrown into the fire, we cannot even put our finger into the fire for 5 minutes. And that intense fire, he was there for such a long time. And he invoked the Lord by saying, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. He said, my Lord is sufficient for me. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. What did Arhamur Rahimin said? He said, O fire, be a source of peaceness and comfort and coolness for Ibrahim. And he got saved and rescued from that extremely beyond words. You can say how the flame and the power of that fire, and he got saved because of that dua. Sayyidina Zakaria, for 60 to 70 years, Sayyidina Zakaria was making dua as a young man every day, days in and days out. Ya Rab, Ya Rab, Ya Rab, give me a son, give me a son. For 60 to 70 years, decades and decades, he made dua, and his duas got answered after that time. When he got really old, and when Arhamur Rahimin willed that he's going to have a son, he sent the angel, and the angel said, Your Rabb has willed it, decreed upon you, you're going to have a son now. He said, how come I'm going to have a son? I'm so old, my hair is white, I'm feeble, and my wife is barren. Don't you think our Lord cannot give us anything if He wills? Doesn't, regardless of our circumstance? It's a matter of His two words. Kun fayakun. Be, and it becomes. So he got Sayyidina Yahya at that age. 60, 70 years he made du'as for decades, and he did not get answered, but he did not lose hope. The one who can give anything and everything if he wills. And after that long decades and decades, his du'as got answered. Sayyidina Yunus. Sayyidina Yunus, he made da'wah to his people. And he made da'wah for a long time. And they did not listen to him. And what happened? He tried to run from them without receiving any revelation through Arhamur Rahimin. So after giving a long da'wah, he flee from them. And look what happened to him. He learned a big lesson. Arhamur Rahimin says, وَزَنُّونِ, and the companion of the fish, the companion of the whale, referring to Sayyidina Yunus. When he went off in anger, he was angry, and he thought, we have no control over him. We don't have any power over him. Meaning, we're not going to punish him for what he's doing. He didn't receive any revelation through us, and he thought he's going to do whatever he feels like. So he ran from them after they provoked him, and they really didn't listen to him at all. So he says, let me run from these people. I don't need them. I give da'wah and da'wah. These people don't listen to me. Matter of fact, let me go across the ocean somewhere else, in another port, and I'll give da'wah. What was his mistake? His mistake thought everything works on his clock, even though he was a prophet. So he fled, and he landed on the laden ship. And when the lots were drawn 3 times, every time his name kept on appearing, and the 3rd time his name kept on appearing, and the people of the ship threw him overboard, and the whale came. Arhamur Rahimin commanded the whale because he's willing that his prophet, that's his prophet, his beloved prophet, he doesn't want him to die. So when they threw him overboard onto the ocean, and from the will of Arhamur Rahimin, the whale came. Whale even came before, while they were doing everything, the lots and everything, whale was around the ship. So once he was thrown overboard, this tremendous whale came. And when he was thrown onto the ocean, the whale opened his mouth, and he went inside, and he was in the darkness. Even Allah says it in the Quran, فَنَادَ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ, he cried through the darkness. Scholar says that he was under 3 layers of darkness: the darkness of the stomach of the whale, the darkness of the ocean, and the darkness of the night. We get scared in one darkness, and he was under 3 layers of darkness, not just one above the other. In 3 darknesses when he invoked. And what happens when first he was in 3 darknesses, then he'll suffocate once you're under inside a stomach of a whale. You need air. The whale himself has to come up out the ocean to get air from time to time. So first, when you're inside the stomach, the first thing will happen that you have no air, you'll suffocate. And the second thing will happen is because the whale's stomach is 10 to 12 times powerful than us. It digests food. After being suffocating, you will get dissolved by the acid of the whale's stomach, and you will live with nothing but bones, because you're going to become the food of that whale. So he was under 3 layers of darknesses, and he won't be able to breathe. He was in deathly situation, and he invoked through the depths of the darkness from the bottom of the ocean. He called out, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. There is 3 parts into that dua. First he said, La ilaha illa anta. There is no deity. There is no Lord. There is no God beside you. You're the only one. There is no deity. There is no master, no Lord, no creator beside you. I believe you're only one. So help me, save me. Subhanaka. You are free from every blames. You are free from every guilt. You are free. I'm not blaming you for in that situation. I brought that onto myself. Inni kuntu minaz zalimin. I am from the wrongdoers. He did not this to me. I wronged myself. He did not wrong me. Inni kuntu minaz zalimin. He did not wrong me. I wronged myself. So in that desperate moment, Allah saved him. And what did he say? He said, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ. We answered Yunus's prayer. وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ. And we saved Yunus from his distress. وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And likewise, similarly, in the same way like Yunus, I do save the believers. And وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ is a promise of Arhamur Rahimin. And he never, the promise of Arhamur Rahimin is always ever true. And he never breaks his promise, he never fails in his promise. And this dua is so powerful dua that the Prophet said in the hadith of Tirmidhi that no Muslims makes the dua of my brother Nun, referring to Sayyidina Yunus, for anything that you could possibly imagine. No Muslim makes this dua for any reason except Allah responds to these people. So this dua is always beyond guaranteed for any reason, especially in time of distress. Sayyidina Ayub, no prophets or no human went through affliction and tragedies the way Sayyidina Ayub went. No prophets. Only prophet who went through severe trials and tribulations is the best of creation and the seal of prophets. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the only one who went through the severe trials and tests and tribulations. And after that, the only prophet and only human until the day of judgment to go through severe affliction was Sayyidina Ayub. 18 years he had to endure his tragedy, his tests, and his tribulations. 18 years. First, he was extremely wealthy. So much land, so much animals, so much gold and silver. He had so many children. He was so healthy. He got every single thing in every way possible that a man desires in this world. He was ever happy in every ways. He had no type of lackness when it comes to prosperity. So as a test from Arhamur Rahimin, and also to set him a role model, an example for humanity, for us, until the day of judgment to come, he gave him a series of tests. First, he loses all the lands and the wealth, everything. Arhamur Rahimin, the Almighty, destroys it. After that, every single children, his beloved children, to a person there is nothing more beloved than their family, than their children. All of his children dies one after the other in front of his eyes. Then he gets leprosy in his body. The whole body, he becomes a leper. He gets leprosy from top to bottom. His whole body is festered. He got leprosy to an extent the people in his village, everybody says that we cannot have him here. What they do, they told him to go leave the village. He goes to the outskirts of his village, far away, deserted from every single person. His own people, society despised him. His whole society turned against him. And he was a prophet of Allah. The only person who stood by him was his wife, his faithful, righteous, pious wife. She had patience, and for 18 years he had to go through his affliction. 18 years, such a long, long time, almost 2 decades. He had patience. There is a saying, Sabr of Ayub, the patient of Sayyidina Ayub. 18 years, and his wife had to work in people's houses as a housekeeper, as a maid, to make ends meet. They were so poor, and he was a prophet of Allah. So when in these 18 years, when everything got rotted, he had leprosy, only two things in his body was working. And that was his heart and his tongue. And when the leprosy came to his tongue and he couldn't remember, he cannot pray and make zikr to Allah. And when the leprosy came to his tongue, he says, Ya Rab, now I cannot even make in remembrance to you, and I'm suffering so much, I cannot bear the pain even anymore. And he was fighting between life and death. What did he say? His dua, Anni massani ad-dur wa anta arhamur rahimin. He said to Ya Rab, Anni massani ad-dur, this harm has touched me, this illness, this calamity, this affliction, this pain has touched me. I cannot bear it anymore. And you are وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ, and you are the most compassionate of all those who show compassion. أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الدُّرُّ, this harm and this pain has touched me, this illness. وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ, this is your condition. You are Arhamur Rahimin. You are the most compassionate of all those who show compassion. وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ, this is your condition. You are the most sympathetic of all those who show sympathy. And nobody cannot be Arhamur Rahimin. Doesn't matter how compassionate, how kindness they are. You, my Rabb, you are Arhamur Rahimin, the most compassionate, the most kind, the most loving, the most caring. So you have to take this illness away. You think after our sustainer heard him, what he said? He said that you are Wanta Arhamur Rahimin, you are the most compassionate and kind. فَاسْتَجَابْنَا لَهُ. We listened what Ayub has to say. فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِن دُرٍ, and we removed his harm, meaning his illness, and we gave back his family. And not only we gave his family, we doubled it, we doubled their number. And it was a mercy from us and a reminder for all who worship us. وَذِكْرَ لِلْعَابِدِينَ, it's a reminder for all who worship us. We have to ponder and we have to reflect what Sayyidina Ayub went through, and we have to take him as our role model. For 18 years, and he was a prophet of Allah, and he had to endure this calamity, series and series of tests and trials. So we have to, whenever our problems, no matter how difficult, how serious we go through, and how much stress and how much anxiety we have to look upon Sayyidina Ayub, and we think, if he, as a prophet, the most beloved to our Creator, had to go through this, then our problem is nothing compared to his. That's why Allah closed it verse saying, وَذِكْرًا لِلْعَابِدِينَ. So du'as always get answered. We have to be patient and we have to be confident always. As long as we know the difference between right and wrong, our du'as will always get answered. It's a matter of time. And never ever give up on du'as.